This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Finding out that apparently Obi-Wan Kenobi is the worst thing ever produced by anything ever. Which is an interesting take. I mean, I guess we haven't discussed Obi-Wan Kenobi at all, but we will be getting to that in the podcast. No. The first 3 episodes. The first 3 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I didn't even realize... I think I went to watch the first 2 on Wednesday. And I saw the third one was on there. I was like, what? I thought these were coming out on Friday. But nope. They're coming out on Wednesdays. This premiered the first 2 on Friday.
Yeah, they dropped the first 2, like, back-to-back.
Yeah.
That's when I watched the first 2.
Yeah.
And then I watched the third one just yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... My overall thoughts on this show is I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a huge... I'm not going to lie, there's a huge hate train on this show right now. And it's interesting because overall, I'm thinking it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I kind of discovered the hate train thing too, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Like, what practical reason there is for all the hate. Yeah, I guess we should just address the elephant in the room about it. I guess there's a big majority of fans who have sent a lot of racist messages to the one of the stars of the film.
Yeah, well, I want to specify it's not a majority. This is why I like to call a vocal minority.
A majority, yes. A vocal minority.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for...
Yeah. And apparently lots of people are coming out and defending these people sending racist messages, essentially. These people, I'm sorry, these people can fuck off.
Yeah, like, you don't defend racism.
No, no, but lots of people are right now. It's kind of pissing me off.
Yeah, it is. It's always kind of disappointing when a fandom that you would consider yourself a part of, you realize that, like, wow, a lot of these people are fucking toxic people.
Yes.
And that's just sickening. Like I've always said, I enjoy Star Wars, even every new addition to it, because it's new Star Wars.
Exactly.
I hate the culture and fandom behind it, though.
Yeah, no, it's getting...
But I love Star Wars.
It's getting really infuriating, the fandom behind this...
And I always kind of hated it for those who didn't call you a real fan because you didn't read the novels.
Yes.
I remember those days.
Yeah. Well, I do want to specify, I actually have read a couple of the novels when I was a teenager. So it was a couple years ago at least.
I read a few of the comics, and I read like one of the novels that they had made for like young adults. Like there was one that was like about Han and Leia's kid. I think they called him Anakin Solo, and they had twins, and they were at a Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
Luke's Jedi Academy. The mysteries of the Jedi
Jedi there was something
Academy.
like that. I want to say they had twins. Was it Ben and Anakin?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Ben was one of them. Or maybe I'm conflating it with Kylo Ren. I don't know.
I want to say one was a girl.
Yeah, that does seem familiar.
I just can't remember what they named her.
Yeah, I can't remember either. That being said, I want to specify, I do remember enjoying the books. One thing I really remember about the books, though, was that they would have really good ideas. I feel like a lot of them would really half-ass the endings, and that would drive me nuts. Like, here's some really good ideas and setup, and then the ending, it felt like, oh, crap, we need to end this. Fucking spy broke in and killed him. Fucking,
yeah.
Okay.
They got sucked out through a vacuum in space.
Oh, fucking flew into an asteroid. He's dead, so we're never going to speak of him again. Okay.
A Sarlacc alien.
And I don't want to bash on the books, because I enjoy the books, what I read. But like I said, it was half-ass endings last times, and part of me did appreciate Disney for trying to do something different. It hasn't always been a hit with Disney. I do feel like Obi-Wan's might be a hit, though. Maybe not with all the fans, but I think overall this is good quality series. I like how they're explaining that middle chapter for Obi-Wan, which I want to specify, there should be a middle chapter for Obi-Wan, because where they left off is a character who's essentially been beaten. Everything he's been raised in his life up to that point has been destroyed. So now all he has is kind of like protecting Luke. And they're picking up from that point, and I don't think it's an illogical point to pick up where he's kind of broken at this point. And they are giving him a hero's journey. Like, you see him doing that menial labor, just kind of passing the days by, and he's obviously bored and shit like that. He gets the first call to action from that Jedi, who says no to him, which is exactly the hero's journey. The first call to action, they say no to that. And then...
All right.
And then he realizes, he gets the second call to action, and it's really forced upon him. And this is the closest thing I think they come to a genuine bait and switch. And it's not that Reva's the main character of this series, because she's not. She's actually the main villain so far. The bait and switch is that this isn't about Obi-Wan protecting Luke and developing a relationship with Luke. It's about Obi-Wan protecting Leia and developing a relationship with her, which I thought was an interesting bait and switch. Which is one I actually appreciate. Because I actually think the child actress that plays Leia does a fairly good job for a child actress. I do have to hedge it because it is a child actress.
I totally buy that kid grows up to be Carrie Fisher.
Oh yeah, well that's the way Leia acts in the
totally
franchise.
Buy it. Yeah.
So having like a younger version of that character makes sense. They'd act that way. I mean.
Now, there is something about it that I kind of thought threw me off a little bit with it. And New Hope, how Leia said, years ago you served my father, in the Clone Wars. You don't think, do you think that she never put it together that, Ben Kenobi was General Kenobi?
Yeah, I think
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, that's the thing, you're always going to have issues when you do that. Because, like, you want to talk about how the prequels are seamless, because they're not. Because when Obi-Wan first sees R2 in the New Hope, he's like, I don't recall ever owning a droid. Dude, you hung out with this droid all the time.
Yeah, he hung out with it. He never did own it.
Yeah, but he would recognize R2.
Yeah, he would recognize R2.
So
I think he might have, where he took off the helmet first. He's like, well, hello, little one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That seems like a greeting that, I know you.
But yeah.
What are you doing out here?
There's always going to be little road bumps like that whenever you introduce new stuff to the canon.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a big road bump? I don't think it's a big one.
Well, I mean, this one, we could hold George responsible for.
Well, sure.
Because he did write A New Hope, and he technically did write
Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Episode 3 and 1 and 2.
Well,
2 actually despite the Anakin and Padme chemistry, that one was probably the best out of the 3.
I would definitely go for Revenge of the Sith as the best out of the 3, but...
Oh, yeah, that turn was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, the prequels have issues, though.
I'll admit, though, watching the series, like those first few episodes of Obi-Wan, I was about ready just to, watch Attack of the Clones.
I know. It kind of did make me want to go through and watch some of the prequels.
I kind of want to rewatch those again.
Yeah.
I haven't had this desire to rewatch the first one again since I watched that theory about Jar Jar Binks being the Sith Lord. And I kind of wanted to be like, no way, there are not that many clues in it. And after watching it, there are that many clues. It's plausible.
Yeah.
It's plausible. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Well, it did make me wish maybe I had scheduled time in the podcast to get, those prequels in. But I always feel like, God, this podcast fills up quickly. And it's I do want to get fun stuff in there, too.
Yeah. No, yeah, but, I mean... God, maybe we should just resort it to a month.
Yeah.
Next year, we just dedicate the month of May to Star Wars.
Yeah, who knows?
We could find some interesting stuff in the Star Wars canon to talk about.
Well, we have not talked about the holiday special yet. So.
No, I keep threatening it, but you just keep deleting that idea.
No. I've seen it too much.
Oh, come on.
It haunts my dreams.
Don't you want the Harvey Korman? The Harvey Korman sing-along?
Yes.
With B. Arthur?
Yes.
And Grandpa watching his Wookiee sex division?
Oh, God, that was a thing, wasn't it? That one...
Yeah.
Oh, Grandpa masturbating. I needed that.
Yeah. No, that's nothing says the holidays like that.
But the good news is that, thankfully, Obi-Wan Kenobi is much worse than the holiday special. Right?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, I've found
I
people
I,
saying it.
I have, yeah. I don't know.
No, it's
I have a theory that people just don't like the set, like just probably don't like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan.
I'm getting the sense, and I don't know why I'm getting the sense because it's obvious. These people are just pre-set up to hate all this stuff now. It just
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Disney does the
Well,
lightest bit to the left, and Disney is not a left corporation. Disney's conservative as fuck. But they do the slightest step to the
yeah.
left, and all of a sudden they're against everything. And it's like, you people are
Yeah,
obnoxious.
against and they're indoctrinating children into
Yes.
alternative lifestyles and things of the sort.
Yes. It is obnoxious.
But but all children recreate, the crucifixion and resurrection
Oh, yeah, that's fine,
and
right?
have that be perfectly
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, and that's as much on my soapbox on that as I'm gonna
Well,
say.
yeah, let's do more child recreations of the fucking Passion. That'll be great.
Yeah, let make sure you get him right in the gut,
Yeah.
but Billy, right in the liver.
Yeah, it
Oh,
gets cringe.
I mean, fuck's sakes.
Well, it looks like our stream's being
And I mean,
interrupted, but I am also recording this, so this might also be an upload. So I don't know what's
probably.
going on.
Yeah, it's my Skype window is frozen. My little window that shows like what you're seeing is still like fine and not lagging, but the big window is like frozen.
Nice. So yeah, we will be experimenting with this live stream. The last one went fairly fluidly, so I don't know why this one's clunky. We have had power hiccups here, so maybe it's something to do with that.
That might be it.
Yeah, who knows? But anyways, we still have.
And my it looks like in my area just some bad weather started rolling through too, so
But yeah, it's weird. Our connection is fine, but like apparently our connection with YouTube isn't. I love it. I love it. I would like to get this live streaming at some point though, reliably.
oh yeah.
But yes,
Oh yeah, I'm just checking the YouTube right now and it looks like it's buffering.
yeah, this sounds nice. But yes, this is a good show. Obi-Wan has to go protect Leia, which I thought was interesting. There was an offhand line that I thought was weird. She comments, like Obi-Wan says, "We're going to go undercover, you're my daughter." And she's like, "Granddaughter, perhaps." And it's like, okay, yeah, he's a little old to be your father. But he's younger than your adopted dad. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, what's funny is there was a moment, I want to say it was in the second episode, where she started acting a lot like Padme.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she did it, and I was like, just smiling, and I was like, wow, that's totally not like her mother.
Yeah.
And then Obi-Wan said it, and I was like, yeah, I picked up on that one too. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
That was a very nice touch. And now I'm thinking more of like, wow, yeah, Leia was always like that, and just like her mother.
Yeah, they set it up nicely. I guess we should probably talk about Reva. I hate talking about her because she's become the whole like vocal minority has decided she's the worst character ever.
You know what? I'm also kind of happy that they're paying off some like stories that they touched on in like Fallen Order, that game.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that they're doing that and with this character. I don't believe it's the same characters, but I believe that's the same group.
Yeah, it might be.
Of like, of like the ones hunting down like the Jedi and the Padawans that escaped. I believe that's the same thing, like the same group. I'm not sure if it's the same characters. It's also been forever since I played that game. But I mean, I believe the main villain in that, she escaped as a Padawan and then went to the Empire, wanting to be trained as a Sith.
Are you talking about Reva?
Yeah, well, no, but that's also like I think that's a character or a backstory to like the main antagonist in the Fallen Order video game.
Maybe I'm not super familiar with the story of that. I kind of know the basics, but
yeah, I it's been a while since I played and completed it, so I'm not 100% on there, but I do vaguely. But when they talked about that in the story, or at least are alluding to in Obi-Wan, which I'm pretty sure is what her backstory is.
Yeah, no, I think it is, because they set up with the younglings and they haven't done anything with the younglings since then, which makes me feel pretty confident that, yeah, Reva was a youngling.
That was spared for some reason. Or maybe like actually put up a fight.
But yeah, I do think it's an interesting
Also, I
story.
did like.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta say, Hayden fills out that suit very nice.
Yeah, and everybody wants to talk about Hayden Christensen, and it's great to bring him back. But I had no idea they also brought James Earl Jones back for this. I was just watching episode 3. I was like, oh shit, they brought James Earl Jones back.
Yeah, at first I was like, wow, that's a really good impersa.
Yeah.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I like that we really see Vader as like a petulant asshole in this show. He's just terrible.
Like the worst.
Yeah. And it's like you get hints of it in the original trilogy, but like it really feels like, if nothing else, it's a good connection between Vader that we see at the end of Revenge of the Sith and Vader we see in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Where like he's still just a piece of shit. What did you think of the duel they had at the end of episode 3?
I'm surprised they showed as much of that as they did.
Yeah.
Like I thought we would have like had to wait a little bit longer before that showdown.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked it. Kind of like I enjoyed it. It was kind of nice to see Anakin kind of best him a little.
Yeah. Well, you could
get that revenge, but he was still definitely being fueled by vengeance and anger.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
And Obi-Wan was still being reserved.
Yeah, Obi-Wan didn't want to attack him, obviously, because he has a past history and he feels guilty. Anakin,
and also Obi-Wan knows he'd whoop that ass.
Yeah, and Anakin just wants to torture Obi-Wan. That's all he cares about. Yeah, he is literally dragging him through flames, not to kill him, but to burn him alive. Because that's what happened to him. That it's all about revenge for Anakin, and it makes absolute sense.
Vengeance, and it does, and I think I really like where they're going with the story, and I like that. I bet you. I hope they explain how Ben is a miraculous healer without having any scars of burning, but I don't think Anakin did that efficient of a job of trying to burn him, though.
Yeah, we'll see. As I remember, it didn't look like you really saw his face get burned up too much. I don't know how it didn't, but it didn't look like that. It looked like it was mainly his shoulder got burned up, and it's not like it's not like you see Al Guinness's shoulder throughout A New Hope. So, but I'm really digging this series. Like I said, I hate to bring up Reva. I feel like there are times where the actress could do a better job, and that's kind of all I want to say about it. Because people have been too harsh on her, and I do want to see where the character goes, because I think the character is very interesting. And I kind of hate that people are too obnoxious to her, because I'd like to actually be, like, I don't know, it's just obnoxious, because I feel like I don't want to be too harsh, and I don't even think I would be that harsh, because I don't have that many harsh things to say. But I do think it's an interesting character. I want to see where it goes. Well, before we get to Debbie Does Tom and Jerry, are we ready for Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, let's get into that.
The first 3 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, or the last 3. But George, you weren't here.
The last 3.
You weren't here for the first 3, so do you want to give your kind of quick thoughts on the first 3?
Yeah. So first 3 episodes, I really, really liked that they kind of shifted it towards more of a Leia story. And I might add that the actress that played Leia did a fantastic job. Because they kind of started it out making, based off the trailers, that you're going to be getting a story about Luke.
Yeah.
So, initial thoughts, of course, it's awesome that they brought back, all of the actors.
I was surprised they got Joel Edgerton back. It wasn't they had him do a little bit, but he's a much bigger name than when he did the prequels. But yeah, they brought him back.
Yeah, I think a lot of I think Jimmy Smits and Ewan McGregor were pretty well established before the prequels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, Ewan
Smits
definitely,
especially.
I think Ewan definitely got bigger, but he was he was already a rising star for the prequels. Jimmy Smits was established.
Well, yeah, Jimmy Stitz, he was in that blockbuster Tommy Knockers.
Yes,
the immortal, ization of the Stephen King classic.
Of course.
It's been so long. He was,
but no,
yeah, it's been a while.
Jimmy Smits, he was on some cop show, I remember in the early
NYPD
'90s. Yeah, that one.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
It was either that or Law and Order.
And then he was on Dexter. Was that after Star Wars or in between some of the Star Wars movies?
I'm pretty sure.
After Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a forgettable season.
Yes. Not the worst season, but
not definitely not the best.
Yeah.
Season 2 was probably the peak of that show.
2 and 4 are so goddamn good. 2.
Oh yeah.
And I think 1's underrated. 1 is fantastic. But yeah.
Well, after 1, we lost that snark that he had. It was just kind of there the rest of the series, but he was kind of like a dick in those first few episodes, and I loved it.
But he's done. Jimmy Smits has done more than a forgettable season of Dexter. He did some Star Wars prequels.
He did several Star Wars prequels.
Yes.
Yeah, he was Ben Organa. Yeah,
and it was.
Sorry, go ahead, George.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I think the first appearance in Star Wars was Attack of the Clones, and
was he in Attack of the Clones?
I remember.
Or was he just in Revenge? Okay, I didn't remember.
He was in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, he was.
All right.
So, I've been Bob. I've always been a big Star Wars nerd, and I said, "Oh, Bail Organa's in the new Star Wars movie."
I've known you for 2 years. How is this the first time heard of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like one of those nerds. Like back, even before the prequels came out, friends and I talked about Star Wars growing up, so we were familiar with who Bail Organa was, and the lava duel, and all of these other little minor things. But it was really cool, actually. Oh, it's Bail Organa. He's finally in the movie. Yeah. But he had a very, very minor role. Then he had a much larger role in Revenge of the Sith.
He had a much bigger role in Revenge of the Sith. That's right. Yeah, he was in. I can remember him in Attack of the Clones very briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost kind of blink and you miss it.
Yeah, it's almost like cameo, but yeah.
He's Padme's advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
so no, I just first 3 episodes just made me realize how well George Lucas did for casting these actors, because when Owen and Obi-Wan were having that first initial exchange, both Joel and Ewan did a great job of their transitional roles between where we saw them in the prequels and then where we see them in A New Hope. Mm-hmm. Joel totally sold me as Uncle Owen in that scene. You could tell his voice is getting raspier, and then they have the exchange about Luke's father. I was like, oh, so good, such a good scene.
Yeah.
But no, I liked kind of like the adventure of going off to find Leia, and interesting that both the kids who knew who Obi-Wan was by the time you got to episode 4, which makes sense because they both seemed somewhat already acquainted with him.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
it's well, we'll get to it, but yeah, they kind of do. I think what they do with Leia and Obi-Wan's relationship was actually quite good. I like that this story's about Leia, because I feel like if they do any future seasons, which is an if, there'll be plenty of time to do stuff with him and Luke. There's the whole wide world is open for him and Luke to do stuff. Him and Leia can't do a huge amount with, so good to get it started. No.
Or he could have an adventure with the two of them as kids.
Yeah.
They both simultaneously get kidnapped.
Oh, jeez.
And then it could be an escape from Witch Mountain sort of thing.
There you go. We'll have The Rock.
I don't think that they would have the kids together in the same.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't.
No.
Yeah. Because they're not really aware of each other.
You guys are definitely not siblings, by the way.
But they're just, they're just two kids. They're not going to tell them that they're siblings, obviously. They'll just be together, just like, oh, yep, you're a kid who just lives on Tatooine. Yep, and, she lives there.
Hey,
Yeah.
we live far off, but you know both of us, and we were both born the exact same time. Are we related? No,
Yeah.
No,
No,
we're not, definitely not.
no.
not at all.
What are you talking about?
I guess the only other thing I'll have to add is I kind of liked how he felt defeated
Yeah.
for a little bit, and then he
Yeah.
regained his strength as the series went on. And you know, and a lot of people complain that, oh, he's a wimp, and it's like there's different ways of being defeated. It doesn't have to be like a physical defeated. Like, you know, he's at a point where he's emotionally drained and he's trying to figure out what the hell he needs to do
Yeah.
to,
Well,
you know, regain his thoughts, regain what needs to happen with the kids, and then he finally finds his strength as we go through the series. But you just can't have him.
I was just going to say, those complaints they drive me up the wall, because just looking at where he'd be in between the prequels and A New Hope, him being a bit defeated at this point makes absolute sense for the character. Just narratively, that's
Right.
the most logical spot to put him. It just makes sense to me.
And I also like I've only seen the show once. 20 years ago, I would have seen this like 4 times over by now. But I also liked what they did with the choreography. So, like, the fighting style is somewhere in between what we saw in the prequels and then moving more towards what we see, you know, in the original movies. Now, of course, they're going to be uncoordinated because they haven't really fought, you know, in a decade. So, and then they won't fight again for another decade. So, yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts. And then,
all right, yeah. I think we're ready to just go into the last 3 episodes, because these episodes for me were kind of where Obi-Wan, like, it felt like he was getting his mojo back. Like, immediately episode 4, after he loses Leia, he's like practicing the Force and doing all types of stuff. Well, what were you guys' thoughts on episode 4?
Definitely, like you said, him getting his mojo back. Like, it was like him getting into the pattern of, or I guess like the habit of things. His like old practice, or like you saw him using the Force and trying to get it back. I think like he was still like had some work to do with it, and we see that progress in the later episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a really cool, just a great episode, and it helped push the story along. I mean, not that it needed to, but like this one also had a lot of other great things. George, you had brought up the actress that they cast to play the young Leia, and they're like there's not a moment that I was watching this entire series that I was like, I could totally see that kid growing up to be like, you know, Princess Leia, as we all know her as Carrie Fisher. Like I'm convinced. Like
she sold the role. There wasn't enough of
totally
Luke.
Convinced.
There wasn't enough of Luke to really sell me on being a young Mark Hamill, but the actress who played Leia totally sold it.
Well, Luke didn't get much of a chance, but Leia, like, she had the opportunity to prove it, and she proved it extremely well.
Yeah,
I believe that's a young Leia.
Also appreciated that we got to see more of Alderaan.
Oh God,
I did too.
Is this the most we've seen of Alderaan in the entire franchise?
I think on film, I believe we might have seen it in one of the animated series, maybe.
Just a very little bit at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, and a tiny bit at the
But yeah, like as far as planets go, like Naboo used to be one of my favorite planets, but Alderaan is sneaking up there slowly as being one of the coolest planets. Yeah.
Well, here's
your
Naboo.
Yavin is one of my favorites.
Well, yeah, Naboo is still around. That we know of.
That's true. We don't.
That we know of. I mean.
Oh wait, no, it is because the
Gungans could have taken over, and that whole palace is now underwater.
They added that little bit of Naboo in the special edition.
They did.
Yeah, they
did. Of
did.
Jedi.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's still around. Yeah.
I'm happy they didn't do one underwater of Gungan City and them looking up at the fireworks, through the water.
So it brings up the big question: when will we see Jar Jar return?
As long as he's a Sith Lord, it's the only thing I want.
Obi-Wan season 2.
Well,
it's already pre-written.
I suppose it's not really a negative thing, but now that Disney owns the franchise, I mean, we will continue to see more films, more TV series, more kind of spin-off things, and well into the foreseeable future.
Oh, yeah.
So, it would not surprise me if we'll have more tie-ins in between movies, or we'll see a return of characters we haven't seen in a long time, or,
And it also gives Disney the opportunity, though I don't hold much stock that they would do this, but that it would maybe them dive into other properties that originally they might have not thought that they were going to do at first. Stuff that they had originally said, oh, well, this doesn't count as our canon anymore, like some of the expanded novels or graphic novels even.
I'm fairly confident.
And this is just more me holding my breath that they're going to do Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where they turn it, having the original actors in it might be tricky unless we get to a point where CGI gets so advanced that it's believable.
Well, I think they only did Shadows as a comic.
Yeah, Shadows was weird.
A few novels, and a few novels.
So they
maybe
had
one or two. Yeah,
they had a book, they had a comic,
they had a video
game. And there was a soundtrack to it too. They put out an orchestral soundtrack to it. And then a whole toy line.
and then a whole toy line as well. Yes,
because I remember.
Well, the toys were to sell the game,
and it's hard. It's hard finding fans to talk to about what we call the dark age of Star Wars, which was 85 to 95. Because 85 we got the droids and the Ewoks kind of stuff, and then there was nothing for 10 years until. They started bringing back the toy line again. Yeah. And that's kind of where Shadows of the Empire took place. 96. Yeah, and then, of course, 97, we got the special editions and the prequels, and then there really hasn't ever been a gap in Star Wars. But that 10-year gap, was, a lot of people don't remember it.
Well, I mean, you could say there's a gap between the prequels and the sequel trilogy, but even then we had, the Clone Wars series in there. It wasn't a real gap.
Yeah. And the Clone Wars went on for several seasons.
Didn't it just wrap up fairly recently?
Yeah, after Disney bought it out, they did a final season, which I haven't seen all of Clone Wars or Rebels.
I haven't started Rebels either. I've heard good things about Rebels though.
I keep hearing good things about both, but it's
Clone
one of
Wars is very good, but I mean, at times, you are watching a kid's show.
Yeah,
and it's very obvious.
The animation seems very, very kiddish.
You can look past it after a while. The voice acting is really good. Like the guy who plays Obi-Wan, there's times where I'm like, God, he sounds like Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even the one for Anakin, there's times where it's like, man, he does a good Hayden Christensen. I'm convinced, and it's not a bad Yoda impersonation either.
Well, bringing up Hayden Christensen, what did you guys think of his role in this series?
I liked it.
Fucking redeemed himself. Not that he needed it.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, he was good.
He had very limited.
Yeah, he was really good in this.
But Jesus, he was good.
I will point out that they didn't really do any de-aging. So when they did the flashback scenes from Attack of the Clones era, it's it's 40-year-old Hayden Christensen.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they did much de-aging, but if you look at that face, it looks a little fake. I think they tried to do as light de-aging as possible. I think because the backlash they got from Luke, they tried to do light de-aging, and of course now they got backlash from this, and it's Jesus Christ, people, make up your minds.
But I thought Hayden always did a good job with the character. He was written as this awkward person who didn't really get out much and socialize. Yeah. He lived a very different life than most people, so he didn't really know how to interact with people. And his love life was awkward. His friendships were awkward. He had, obviously some mental health issues with, possessiveness and control and anger and stuff like that. So, no, I think for that,
Prideful and pride.
yeah. So, I think everyone was expecting his character to be just kind of a saint who then somehow turned to the dark side for a specific reason. But it kind of makes a lot more sense for somebody who kind of already has this path set up for him to take that path.
Well, I think especially even here, and you can kind of tell in the prequels, Obi-Wan's not looking at him clearly. Obi-Wan's looking at him like almost like a father figure, and not well. He's
it's like
the to him, but and he's not seeing him clearly.
It's like like a friend that you want to forgive their faults.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you know the good in them, but you keep trying to forgive them until it's too late, and then it's like, oh well, I can't forgive you now.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
No, go into my thoughts as Hayden Christensen. He had very limited screen time in this, really, but he did such a good job. He spent a lot of time in a back-to tank, and obviously he didn't do much there. The makeup on him looks great, though.
It looked amazing.
Yeah.
I did have one small gripe, and maybe there's something that I missed, but do you guys recall in two of the movies, Sith and Jedi, you see the mask going on them, and then you see it coming off of them in Jedi, where it kind of goes on as two parts. Like the first piece comes on as kind of like a mask that covers the face, and then the dome thing sits down on top of that. And then in the show, when he came out of the back to tank, they just kind of put the helmet on him as one piece. And I'm like, would that squish his head a little bit?
I haven't thought about it. I just assume different helmet types. I assume he's changed throughout the years.
Different helmet types. Yeah, because in the actual movies...
Well, they just applied a topical ointment to his head, so it also helped the helmet, and so it just kind of slid right in.
You don't see
it's a two-piece
you don't see the very top. What it does is it kind of actually places the helmet on his head, then a hammer comes down and just knocks it down.
Just
donk.
All right.
Very cartoony sound effect with it.
And it's funny,
Well, in Revenge of the Sith, it seemed like the faceplate was separate, but that could have just been them first time assembling all the components that made up, his mask and, I guess, life support system.
Yeah, and there
and all that.
There are differences if you look close enough between the movies. There are differences in the suit, so we know it's not the same suit in every movie.
I think maybe the back piece that's like the top helmet that would go over. Perhaps that's like one full separate piece. The other one that goes around the back of the neck, and it also is attached to the breathing apparatus.
Something that was never really explored in anything Star Wars is what's the story behind the suit? It's like, is it just something that Palpatine had laying around ready to be used, or what?
An offhand chance one of his pupils gets burned terribly on a lava planet.
I have this very cool looking suit, and it comes
with
R&D just came up with this, sir.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Execute.
Even better, when he puts it on, he's going to sound like James Earl Jones. Fucking A, I want that suit.
Speaking of.
Oh, so good. I'm so glad he came back.
I was watching it with the wife, and as soon as the first time you heard Vader's voice, I just perked up what did that? We were just both genuinely shocked. Holy crap.
And here's the thing, it's I've heard other Vader things and different stuff that's not James Earl Jones, and it's something you can do easy enough with synthesis and sound manipulation or whatnot. But the fact that he came back and did this for this show was amazing.
Is just really cool.
Are you guys ready for a crazy fact that I learned since we recorded the last set? James Earl Jones didn't come back. They got permission. They paid him for it, but this was actually done by a group that took together all his voice recordings from movies and did a voice synthesizer of him. He didn't actually record it in a soundstage. Yes.
So it's AI.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty damn good for being AI.
It is insanely good.
Fascinating.
Was there any particular reason he just didn't?
He's well retired. He's 91, I believe, right now. He's done.
Oh.
But
yeah.
It's one of those things where I'd love it if he came back, but I get it if he doesn't want to because he's done his time. He's done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he came back for the Lion King, or did they do the same thing for that?
No, the Lion King he came back for.
Okay.
But I mean, he has a credit here, which means he got paid. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Fucking better.
Yeah. But no, I was shocked when I found
Let's see,
that.
what was
wow, that sounds
during the
good.
duel, one thing that I thought was really, really cool sound design wise was during their duel when Obi-Wan would get the better of Vader and he like cut off half of his like helmet, where you could still kind of half hear like the Vader voice coming through, but with Hayden's actual voice, kind of like you heard him at the same like audible level.
Yeah,
that was I thought that was a very cool touch, and also it's kind of gives more into the lore of Vader's suit too.
Yeah, and
so it's like, is that like something that is just like that's how his voice is being projected because he's speaking normally in the mask.
Yeah,
and also it's good to know his lips didn't get burnt off as well. You know.
Well, and there's a very important kind of canon tie-in with that scene too, where I don't remember the exact exchange of dialogue, but basically, Vader was telling him, it's like, look, you didn't kill Anakin, I did.
Yeah.
And that ties into Obi-Wan's kind of, point of view that Anakin and Vader are two separate people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought that was that was really nice. I did like that touch. I was like, yeah. So technically, Luke. He's like, he didn't lie to Luke when he said that.
No,
he did.
That's what Anakin told him.
Yeah.
And one thing I thought.
Well, that's what Vader told him.
Talked so much about the voice and how they did it during that scene, how they mixed it. One thing I thought was really cool is when like the helmet is first broken and you see the split face, which looks great, by the way. Not only like when he first starts talking, it's mostly Hayden. And then the more he talks, the more you get the synthetic voice coming in, which I like that touch. And they do the same thing with the light where like it's more bluish on his face initially. And then as he talks, it becomes more red until the red just dominates. It's like beautiful touches. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we got more on that little box of lightsabers.
Yeah, we see that so briefly. I didn't even catch that until rewatching it, and then like we see this box.
Yeah, because
the box that Obi-Wan buried.
No, there's a box that he finds at that
the cave in episode 5.
I guess holdout. Yeah, where he opens up this chest and it's like 5 lightsabers just sitting there.
Yeah.
I get
that. Okay.
I get that they must have been from fallen Jedi that they have collected.
The Inquisitors
and just kept together.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was Inquisitors. These were the good. These were the rebels. The Alliance.
Yeah,
fighters,
these were the people who were smuggling out people. I don't know what the animated series says, but it kind of felt like these were like early stages of the rebellion. The underground.
It did start to feel like the early days of the rebellion.
They aren't out fighting, but they're out helping people.
They're helping people, against the Empire.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of happy they tied in with the Inquisitors because that was a storyline from the First Order video game or Fallen Order or whatever that newer game is that came out.
I think you're right. Fallen Order.
Yeah, Fallen Order. Yeah, because they were a part of that game, but that game takes place after after Jedi, like a little after Jedi.
It's beginning to be like Marvel, where you kind of need a flow chart.
Yeah,
yeah.
I started playing that.
I'm
game
actually
kind of
pleased about.
But I don't remember where it takes place.
It's so weird.
I'm kind of.
Well, it used to be episodes 1 through 6.
Yeah,
and now you need a flow chart.
Excuse me, it's episodes 4 through 6 and then 1 through 3. Get it right.
Oh, yes. The correct viewing order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, even before that, it was like you just had the original 3, right?
Yeah.
And then all these varying timelines, this multiverse of timelines afterwards, of all these different things that did happen after that, but in other universes, more happened.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they're doing prequel content, because the stuff with prequels is like when you're, we were kids when the original movies were out, and you're just kind of like imagining like what they keep talking about all these events, and then you're like, you finally get to see everything that, you know, these characters have been talking about, or whatever your imagination tried to put all these pieces together. So, you know, like Obi-Wan and Rogue One and stuff. I'm glad that they went back and did kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Clone Army was nothing like I expected it to be.
Yeah, same here.
I thought that they would just be like generic foot soldiers, not like stormtrooper prototypes.
Yeah,
there's if you have Disney
Did
Plus,
not see that one coming. Yeah.
There's since they did the Boba Fett show, they did like a Boba Fett origins story where the costume designers came in and he was originally he was supposed to have been like a super stormtrooper, and there was supposed to be several of them, but they then repurposed that as a single bounty hunter, which is interesting because that's what they revisited in the prequels. Is, you know, the clones were all based off of sort of Boba Fett.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a good. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
But,
so it's like George Lucas reused all of these old ideas, but in a new way, and it sat well with some, and others, you know, weren't a fan of it. Personally, you know, I liked all of the content in the prequels. I mean, as others have pointed out, they're not flawless films. I mean, they have awkward pacing, and the dialogue really, really suffers in moments. But overall, like visually and story and character world building, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I've always liked them.
I'm not a huge fan of the prequels at all, but I think overall the story in them is actually fairly solid. And it is, like, looking back on it, it is actually cool kind of seeing some of these events, because, like, especially going through Obi-Wan and seeing Bail, it's like, oh yeah, so did Bail ever meet Luke? I don't know. And, you know, thinking back on prequels, because it's like we actually have that record, so it's kind of cool we have it, even though I'm not a huge fan of them. They're not the worst things in the universe, like lots of people said for a while, but now apparently they're the best things in the universe, and the sequel trilogy are the worst things in the universe.
And going back to Star Wars fandom, and I'm like thinking back before the days of the internet. Like, I think Bob, like, when we first started talking about Star Wars, I think Phantom Menace was out, and it wasn't a universally despised movie when it came out. It was like, oh yeah, it's the new Star Wars movie. Okay, cool. And then once the internet really started to take off with like forums and sites and everything, then you start, and it's like, are people shitting on it because it's, you know, really, really bad, or are they shitting on it because it's popular and I get to have a voice on the internet, you know? And ever since then, it's like every new Star Wars content, you know, has been like widely shit on by the internet, and fans go as far as like bullying actors or, you know, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know?
like,
they're just movies,
seriously.
people. Come on. You know, nobody raped your childhood. Nobody. It's
rape.
like, grow the fuck out. Grow the fuck up.
Yes.
And then, you know, I keep seeing this with the Obi-Wan show, and I'm like, why? You know, why?
Well, did you know that Obi-Wan is worse than the holiday special?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah, I thought everybody.
Wait.
God, Obi-Wan really could have used Jefferson's starship in the middle and a Wookiee grandpa masturbating.
No, I would say, like, ever since Attack of the Clones, it's like whatever new Star Wars product was out at the time, like, was like the worst thing to ever exist. And it's just kind of like,
yeah, it gets old. It's like, guys,
it gets
Star Wars
old
was
really
never
fast.
perfect. I've already done a little video on it. I have lots of little nitpicks about Obi-Wan, and if you want to say all those nitpicks gathered up together make you dislike the series, cool. I understand. It didn't do that for me. I overall enjoyed this series quite a bit.
Here's a big nitpick. Whenever someone complains about new Star Wars content or like really bad plot points or anything, I'm like, go back and watch the original movie. Yeah. Right? They escape from the Death Star. Leia is convinced there's a tracker on the ship, right? It's important that they don't find the Rebel base, because that's what they have to defeat the Empire. All of their resources are at the Rebel base. Okay, do they stop and look for the tracker? No. They just fly straight to the Rebel base and leave the Empire there.
You're right.
I mean, I get drama. You know, I get movie links, but come on, don't shit on stuff nitpicking on the new content and just pretending like the originals were perfect, because they're far from it.
You're right. Star Wars 1977 sucks too.
Yeah, I think like maybe Empire is the only movie that's well made from like hitting every points of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But
There is, but I've only noticed one thing, and this is just me being nitpicky. So if the Empire was already in Bespin, right, and they took over everything, like every aspect of communications within the entire city, correct?
right.
Right. So how was Lando still able to communicate with the dude with the headphones without the Empire detecting it?
Well,
Like,
it was
unless
just,
it's some sort of secret, like security that
it
he
was
has
it
or
was
detail.
a secret communication device between him and
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it was
actually
it's a Bluetooth system they had set up. Didn't you know that? It was
Yeah.
well established.
But you don't. But you don't think the Empire would have been monitoring that, or even detecting
It
it?
was encoded.
it's very
dude.
sad.
I'm not saying that they're on it, but that is just me being nitpicky.
Yeah, no, and
The character's name is Lobot, and it's
Lobot,
really
that's
sad
right,
that I
yeah.
know that.
yeah,
No,
no,
it's
sad you said that, and I went, "Yep, that's right, I knew that." That's right.
Yeah, and no, I knew it too. As soon as you said like that's what his
Yeah,
name.
But
is.
I've always
Absolutely
loved that
correct.
scene where he like, he
Yeah.
touches the things on his wrist, and then Lobot's like, "Woo, I'm awake now."
Yeah. But yeah,
But no, point being, you can nitpick.
Yeah,
any
you
of
can
these
nitpick
things.
literally anything to death. You could probably nitpick Shawshank Redemption to death, but that'd be quite a project.
Or
But
why
I'm
didn't
sure you
Chewie just
could.
rip
I'm sure
apart
you
those
could.
little goblins?
Yeah.
Can I just say one more little nitpick about Obi-Wan before we start talking about all the other awesome things that we
Sure,
liked
sure.
about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So when they're escaping the Imperial base, some rebels come in with a snowspeeder, and they all gather up in the snowspeeder.
Yeah.
But in Empire, it's very, very clear that it's a two-person vehicle.
And they're
There's
back
the
to
front
back.
seat
Yeah.
and the back, is the gunner slot.
Yeah.
And they somehow managed to fit the pilot in the front and then 4 people in the back
Three.
seat.
Yeah,
Three.
It would be Obi-Wan, Talon,
Okay.
and Leia.
Yeah.
It would be a tight fit. Like, I would be
And
like,
it's
"Ooh,
also-
Obi-Wan's getting close with Talon," but then Leia's there killing the mood. But,
Again, this is just the nerd in me, but speeders are more like land terrain. They're not really equipped to leave the planet, kind of like
Yeah,
speeder
yeah.
bikes.
I
So-
I thought about
again,
that
I was like,
too.
they have
Yeah.
that sort of range.
Well,
okay.
that's the thing. Like,
I mean, still cool.
they go to a
but-
base. To me, it kind of works because it's implying it's super short range, and they're just using it because it's what they have.
Well, Yeah, but I imagine like if anything, they were probably like on a bigger ship, and they had launched out from like the like a loading bay.
Well, there could have been a much larger ship just right outside the planet that was
Yeah.
using a tractor beam. Okay, and then
Sure,
the
yes,
tractor beam
that's-
caught
that's
the
actually
snow
completely
speeder,
possible.
and then lift.
right.
Yeah,
The fact is, Star Wars has never been perfect, and if you're going to complain about Star Wars getting political, there's this great meme I found where they're asking, "When did Star Wars become all political and
Sorry.
anti-fascist?" And the answer comes back, 1977.
77.
1977.
Well, when they're talking about senators and bureaucracy and governors controlling systems
Yeah.
and everything like that.
Yeah. when the movie came out, it was titled Star Wars. Yeah.
And it was funny, like I have the novel that came out just before the movie, and there's this whole excerpt, yes, that goes over. It's just like a 2-page thing that basically goes over a lot of what the prequels covered. It's like, it was a libertarian system that rotted from the inside, and the Senator Palpatine appointed himself emperor, and all of this stuff. And so, but yeah, like the political aspect was always there.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's a lot of social commentary for sure, and I thought the political stuff in Star Wars was some of the most interesting. A lot of people bitch about the politics in the prequels, but I thought that was one of the more interesting aspects
Yeah, I
about
agree.
them.
Yeah. No.
Palpatine's kind of like very complex character arc that's done entirely through the political stuff, which I thought was really, really well thought out.
And we do get a brief Ian McDiarmid cameo in this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, nice.
And I had to take a double look. I'm like, Did he come back for this?
Yeah.
Let me IMDb this. And like, yeah, he did.
No, he acted that. This isn't James Earl Jones. He came back for this the brief little role.
I guess we'll save the other cameo for the tail end, right? Unless you guys want to talk about it.
No,
now.
we can jump around. What cameo were you thinking of?
Oh, we could absolutely talk about it right now.
All right, what'd you guys think of Qui-Gon?
Oh shit, yeah.
It made me very happy.
Yes. Me too.
I had a theory when I first saw it, and I would always talk about this with my buddies. And like we were all like really into Star Wars. So my theory is that, you know, how at the end of Phantom Menace, Yoda had said to Obi-Wan, and I'm going to paraphrase Yoda, but he found a way to communicate beyond death, which obviously that means Force Ghost.
Yeah,
right.
That's where I connected it. So that made me think that the whole time that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine in isolation, he was still being trained by Qui-Gon.
Right. And
so in a way, it kind of paid off my own fan theory at the end, which really made me happy.
That he eventually figured it out. Because I just assumed that he figured out how to do it, but he could never manifest. So he just passed on the information to...
just by, you know, voice, because we see that even even right after Obi-Wan dies, he says, "Run, Luke, run," and you know, gets the hell out of there.
And then like when I saw that in the credits that Liam Neeson did come back to do that bit, I was like, you know, like it hit right there. I was like, you know,
the one part that really hit me hard was actually, and I want to say, it was I think it was the 6th episode. Maybe the 5th, where Obi-Wan, like, you know, said, "Hey, you have to get Leia, get her to safety," and you know, like Leia's pleading with him, and she's like, "Please, you're my only hope, please, please," and it was like, oh god, that line hits so hard now.
Yeah,
that one got me. I was like, "Yep, I'm kind of watering up here."
Well, we've covered a lot of ground with Obi-Wan, but there is something we do have to discuss. What do we think of Reva?
Here's the thing, and that's why I'm hoping there's a season 2, because she obviously has gone back and forth with kind of how she wants to align herself.
Yeah.
So, and this is where those who have a better memory than I do, I don't think they ever show her killing any Jedi in the show. Right? She's just.
I thought I read somewhere that she isn't in. Oh, are you talking about in the Obi-Wan show?
And the Obi-Wan show
don't think
did
she really
Reva
kills
personally.
Anybody, actually.
Yeah, so she definitely puts the Jedi in danger.
Yeah, she causes harm, but I think
which goes against her
killing.
She attempts to kill the Grand Inquisitor, and that's it.
Right, and it's like if this is really just some big ploy to get back at Vader, and how does she know that Anakin and Vader are the same person? How does she know that?
Because she saw him come in and kill younglings as Anakin.
Well, right, but how would she know that
he is Vader?
He is Vader. Unless he personally told her.
Yeah.
Is it not supposed to be known that they're the same? I didn't know that wasn't known.
Well,
I just assumed it was
maybe
known.
the only thing I could.
Owen didn't know. It was never explained to Owen that they were the same person.
Maybe.
Was it?
No, they never told Owen. As far as he knew, Anakin was dead.
Maybe it's just how they could feel each other's presence in the Force.
Maybe.
That's the only thing I could connect it with.
That's a good theory. You know, if she had that like intimate moment with them, and she has that same feeling.
Well, I mean, I imagine that moment. I imagine there was some connection made at that moment.
Yeah, maybe.
And she's still living in it, but that moment that she has the connection with him would be that of fear. So.
Then it was never really explained. So yeah, she had obviously this plan to have a face-off with Vader and try to resolve, and clearly it didn't resolve.
Yeah.
And then she decided that that wasn't the path she was supposed to be on, and she decided that the act of revenge or killing someone close to Vader, I mean, example, Luke, was not the path that she was supposed to be on. So,
No.
but she also survived. And it's like, well, she knows too much information at this point to be a character that survives. So that's kind of why it makes me think that they might be doing a follow-up season.
No, there's been rumors of the follow-up season. I will go ahead and let you guys know my thoughts. I don't like for the first half of the season, I didn't know what to think of the character and the performance, and then the second half of the season, I think it kind of worked. That being said, I felt her storyline was super predictable. And I've actually had a chance to watch the series twice now. And one thing that really confuses me is she gets that message from Bail. It's broken up. And the message essentially says, I will go protect the boy. I will go to Farmer Owen. You know, she gets very fragmented information. And it's article, it's not clear at all that, like, Bail doesn't say anything about being Anakin or Darth Vader's son. Because why would he? And so it's not clear to me at all why she goes after Luke, honestly. But that being said, her going after him and deciding not to kill him.
Unless it was just another way to try to draw Obi-Wan in.
Yeah.
Like maybe she didn't know, and it was just she knew Obi-Wan would try to protect Luke.
But
so
her main goal was to go after Anakin, not Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was just kind of a means to an end.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I was
it's
kind
a
of
little splotchy. The more
I was kind of confused by the character's development and motives. Now, I did like her as Reva, and I thought she had a good presence, and and I actually enjoyed the character, but her arc and what her motives were a little confusing.
I think her arc was good, but her motives were very confusing. I really liked. I actually really like her arc because she's a youngling and she essentially decides she's going to take the Darth path and get revenge. And then when it comes the moment to get her revenge, she says, "No, this isn't me." And I really liked that. She's chosen a different path from Anakin.
And I was talking with my sister, and she was really confused by her character too. And she's like, something I didn't understand either is like, she's like, nobody survived the Temple Massacre. And I'm like, I was like, I have to go back and watch Revenge of the Sith, but did they say that everyone in the temple had died, or?
I don't recall them saying that. That being said, they do explain in this series that she puts the blood of a nearby youngling on her and pretends to be dead.
That's right. She played dead. And
okay. It's been a while since I've seen Revenge of the Sith, but I think they I think they might have said as many who could get out have already left. Like they might have said something like that as just a line of dialogue, just to kind of.
There was
there
was the one scene where Obi-Wan and Yoda they were sending out a message to tell Jedi to stay away from the temple.
Yeah.
So we knew that some had survived, but
I
wasn't sure if those that were in the temple, if all of them died.
Yeah, or it might have been at the end where they were talking, and those who managed to get out have scattered across the galaxy. So yeah.
Bobby, do you have any thoughts?
We
on
don't
Reva?
know. Yeah, just like with you guys, I was kind of confused by her motivations. Like it seemed like at one part she wanted to do it just to appease, to get there, to capture Obi-Wan, to be that best pupil for Vader. But I was very confused as to the why. Like she was trying to right or wrong, and then later it kind of more made sense, that she wanted to do that. But it was just,
it's a little convoluted. I get what the whole point.
It was.
She's going after Obi-Wan to bait Vader, which I 100% get.
Yeah,
and Vader goes for that bait hard. He is. Already.
Anakin's pride is still, he's too prideful.
Yeah.
Right.
Just how he's taken a Star Destroyer to destroy one ship.
He did
your
not
pride,
give a shit.
Annie.
And then
your pride, Annie.
God, and then that fight between him and Reva, dude, that I hate even calling that a fight. That was a slaughter.
Yeah.
Well, he was just
Yes.
toying with her.
He
She's
didn't
like,
even have his
you know.
lightsaber
Yeah.
for most of it. He was just like, yeah, I see what
Yeah.
you're doing. Yeah.
No.
Interesting that, that she could survive that. It's
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that kind of like it seems more like a Disney thing. It's like, when characters died in a duel, they were dead.
Yeah.
And now Disney's been bringing it back. Oh, well, Darth Maul can come back. He got cut in half. Sure. She got struck through the chest with a lightsaber. Well, Reva's still alive.
In their defense, Darth Maul was brought back before them.
Yeah.
Before
yeah,
Disney?
that was brought back during the Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I thought that part of the Clone Wars may have been after
No,
Disney.
I think just the final season was post Disney. I'm not sure
Yeah.
though. I mean,
okay.
but yeah, I like what they do with her character, but yeah, especially towards the end, her motivations get very iffy. But believe it or not, Star Wars isn't flawless.
No, and if they do a season 2, I really hope they revisit her character and try to like map it out some more. But if it's just a season 1 thing, I can't say that she was an excellent character. She felt more like of a plot device than like a than a.
I think she does do a decent kind of reflection of Anakin, kinda, but yeah.
And I love those flashback scenes though, where she's one of the younglings, and he's like, it's a point of view shot where you see Anakin,
they do a great job with those
in
shots,
his face, where his face is just illuminated by his blade, like in the dark scenes, where making him look kind of scary. I thought that those were really good scenes. Yeah.
So I think we've pretty much covered all the bases on Obi-Wan. I think overall, I think it's really good. It's not perfect by any means, but overall, I like what
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys have any final thoughts before we move on to the boys?
No.
All right.
No. Yeah. Obi-Wan is good. I would recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.